This old Steve Rogers has witnessed all the events of Doomsday. This Steve Rogers has already faced Dr. Doom. Yes, you heard that absolutely right. How is Steve Rogers coming back in Avengers Doomsday? He had become old. This question is on many people's minds. Even some people will say that this is not that Steve Rogers, but his variant. But in the recent trailer, by showing Steve Rogers in a uniform, it was confirmed that this is the same Steve Rogers who received the Super Soldier Serum, who defeated Red Skull, who led the Avengers in the Battle of New York, who took on Thanos, who went into the past to return the Infinity Stones, and grew old. Basically, the Steve Rogers we are going to see in Doomsday is not a variant or a version. He is our OG Steve. Look, to understand how he came back, and that too young, we have to understand the time travel concept of Endgame. It was clearly stated there that traveling through time and changing the past doesn't change the future. It creates a new future. And after the introduction of the multiverse, let me explain this concept. Making any big change in the past creates an alternate timeline. Basically, an alternate universe is created. The MCU followed this rule not just in Endgame, but also in later stories. That's why understanding this point was very important to understand Steve's story. And this is exactly what happened with Steve Rogers in Endgame. Look, when the Avengers went into the past and picked up all the Infinity Stones from different times, an alternate timeline or an alternate universe was created in all those places. Then, in the ending, when Steve Rogers returns all the Infinity Stones one by one, all those timelines were closed again. They were finished. But right here, Steve messed up because of a woman. He remembered that years ago, before freezing in the ice, he had promised to dance. So what happened then? After returning all the stones, Steve Rogers stayed back in the past with Peggy Carter, and from here, a new timeline or a new universe was created. According to fan theories, it was also said that the universe, which was created, is none other than Earth 828, meaning the Fantastic Four's universe. Anyway, I will come to the fan theory later. The point is that a new universe was created, after which Steve lived a family life with Peggy, and according to the MCU's own time travel rules, this fits perfectly. Because Steve didn't just visit the past. He made the decision to live his entire life there. And the Steve Rogers trailer of Doomsday confirms that in that new timeline, he also had a child. Look, it's obvious that Steve Rogers would have expected that after all the events like Infinity War and Endgame, he would go to the past and live a normal life. But a superhero's life can't be normal. Steve staying in the past automatically creates a new timeline. It gives birth to a new universe. A universe where Steve Rogers spent his whole life with Peggy. Endgame just shows us the result when an old Steve is sitting on a bench giving his shield to Sam Wilson. But there is a gap of about 70 years between that scene and that dance. And Marvel never told us what actually happened in those 70 years. And according to me, Doomsday and Secret Wars will fill this missing chapter. In simple words, Avengers, Doomsday will tell us what exactly happened when Steve made the decision to go and stay in the past. Now, that was the thing about what is logically confirmed. I mean, this can almost be considered confirmed according to the rules of Endgame. But let's also talk about what the fan theories say. My fan theory is that when Steve traveled to the past and decided to stay, the new timeline or universe that was created is none other than Earth 828, meaning the Fantastic Four's universe. This universe was created because of Steve Rogers. This is the reason that universe looks futuristic and old at the same time. Look, its technology is quite advanced, but its overall aesthetic and the world's design give an old-time feel. Just like our Steve Rogers. Then let me give one more piece of evidence. If you remember, in Fantastic Four, First Steps, we saw a small section in which a father and son are shown watching TV, and maybe this is none other than Steve and his son. Then right here, the question arises, where did Doctor Doom come from in the middle of all this? Two logics come here. The first is that Doctor Doom belongs to this new Earth 828. Meaning, indirectly, Doctor Doom's existence happened because of Steve Rogers. Maybe events changed in such a way that this universe's Tony Stark became Doctor Doom. This will also give an explanation for having the same face. In Fantastic Four, First Steps itself, we were shown even a reference to Latveria. And according to rumors, Reed Richards and Doctor Doom will also have a prior history, meaning both will be rivals. And the second logic is that Doctor Doom is from some alternate universe, and because of the creation of Earth 828, his universe has started to be destroyed, meaning the reason for the incursion, that is, the reason for the collision of two universes, will indirectly be Steve Rogers. In the comics too, incursion is a very big multiversal event in which two universes start colliding with each other. Look, in simple terms, understand the whole situation like this. Steve time traveled to the past. He stayed with Peggy Carter to dance, due to which a new timeline was created. A new universe was created. He danced so much that, brother, even a child was born, and later, because of his timeline, because of his universe, danger came upon Earth 828, where Doctor Doom will be, or an alternate universe where Doctor Doom will be, and this rivalry started from there. Meaning, Steve's one personal decision slowly started affecting the future of the entire multiverse, due to which Doctor Doom also got involved. Now, to stop this very incursion, basically to save his universe, Doom is fighting and collecting power. Rumors are also there that Doom, for his plan, is capturing the most powerful beings of every universe, in which is Reed Richards' son, Franklin Richards. Even characters like Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange are an important part of his plan. And obviously Franklin Richards, because in the comic books, he has the ability to create universes. So, if the rumors turn out to be true, his role will also be quite important. So yes, for this very reason, Steve Rogers becomes the center point of the incursion. Basically, the incursion is happening because of his time travel. So he will have to get involved in Doomsday. And think, if Doctor Doom also finds out that this entire chain reaction started because of Steve's decision, then it's obvious that Steve will become one of his most important targets. Then the next big question is, how did Steve come back to the main timeline after living in the past for so many years? Pym particles were limited, brother. So the reason for this is Reed Richards. Yes, don't you think that if such a big superhero is living in an alternate timeline, the smartest person there won't find out? Reed Richards is not just Earth's smartest scientist, but is one of the most intelligent characters who understands the multiverse. That's why my guess is that Steve and Reed meeting at some point was almost unavoidable. My guess is that Reed Richards and Steve Rogers will be in touch. In the events of Doomsday, Reed will bring him to the main universe, Earth 616, in his ship, and after all the events of Doomsday and Secret Wars are over, when Steve has lived his whole life, Reed will send him back again to the main timeline, and this also explains a major plot hole of Endgame. If you remember, in Endgame, Steve doesn't return on Hulk's time machine, but is shown sitting on a bench because, brother, he didn't use that time machine to return. He would have used Reed's technology, which could be very similar to the TVA's technology, and this same technology creates another interesting connection among all this. In Multiverse of Madness 2, Reed Richards had a similar technology to the TVA, and even Kong the Conqueror, that is, Nathaniel Richards, who is also a descendant of Reed Richards, had similar technology, and going forward, Kong himself creates the TVA. So it could be that Reed's multiverse traveling technology becomes the same in the future that we see with the TVA as well. Basically, this is much more interconnected than you are thinking. So yes, whatever questions were left in your mind regarding Steve Rogers after Endgame, you will get all their answers in Doomsday and Secret Wars. How did Steve live his alternate life? In that alternate life, how did he face Doctor Doom? How did he come back to Earth 616? I think Marvel will finally explore and answer all these questions. I hope you like my logic and fan theory. If you also have any interesting theory, do tell me in the comments. And obviously, if you liked the video, then like and share it. Watch the above video to know the hidden details of Doom's trailer, and the below one to watch the trailer breakdown. I will be back soon with new videos. Till then, be Desi, be nerd.